Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another edition of the Sunday Rise. It is I, the Midnight Rider, and I'm out here today with my boy BJ, the boss man, and we are kicking off an episode of this Sunday Rise episode that we're going to provide some college football. We're going to have some things. We might say some things that you're not going to like today because it's that kind of day and I'm ready to have some fun. And then we got some NFL coming to you. And then we got to end it. We got what you eating today. So if you guys want to drop in the comments anything, we appreciate any content you guys help us with. And so I'm gonna go right to it. BJ, how's your day, man? How you doing?
Hey man, so far so good. Dayquil has become my best friend.
Okay.
So that's keeping me upright right now. So other than that, man, we got some really meat and potatoes with this college football.
Oh, yes, indeed.
You got to take your knife and fork and cut this up and sit down and just eat. But now we good today. I get my heart and my mind gets a break today because Buffalo doesn't play. So I'm good. I can stay at killed, even kill today.
Okay.
So, but without further ado, because it's hot on the pot, it's boiling on the stove, the tea kettle is whistling. We're going into the college football recap because me and the Midnight Rider talked last week for a little bit, and boy, did the scenarios pop up. They popped up, and now we got some issues. Just a little bit, a couple of issues here. And we'll start with the first game, and we'll talk about the Oregon Ducks losing to the Washington Huskies 34-31. And this is Midnight Rider's time to shine. So I'm gonna give my little bit of input, but I'm gonna sit back and take my notes or write my notes down and blow my nose. Take it away.
So this was the game I said was the ultimate playoff game. It was almost the playoff before the playoffs. Also, if you guys are familiar with the Midnight Riders list, you would know that these two gentlemen, Bo Nix, I think he was on the last list we've done. I think he moved up to number 3, and Michael Penix Jr. was number 1. Always giving us that big Penix energy. So as we do it, as I watch this ball game, I have to say I'm more and more impressed with Michael Penix than I was before. I always remember him in Indiana, and his only problem was he never stayed healthy because I think Indiana would have been an 8 or 9-win team in the Big Ten when he played. But I watched him Friday night, and I watched a quarterback that can make every throw, and he makes it comfortable. It's a little awkward because he's left-handed, and there's not many left-handed QBs out in the world. So anytime I can give shine to a lefty QB, I'm always do it. We left-handed QBs got to stick together. Bo Nix played a very good ball game, and it's going to be tough this year trying to figure out these top 5 QBs or these top quarterbacks. Because I think once we get Caleb Williams, Drake May, I think the third guy is going to be the question. And I'm going to talk about another person a little bit later that's kind of had a Bijan Robinson vibe where I've mentioned them all the time. There's going to be another quarterback that I talk about more than anybody else. But I think Penix can get himself into the first round based on his arm strength and his combine. But this ball game itself was a classic. Washington came out early, and they should have been up 17-0. But Penix misses a route up the sideline on like a 3rd and short, and they get the coverage they want. They get the play they want. Unfortunately, just puts a little bit too much on the football, and then Oregon starts to fight back. And Oregon runs that middle part of the game where you go from the 2-minute warning being down, and then you come out and get the kickoff, and you have 2 drives that you sandwich in, you gain 14 points, and they came out in the lead. So from a strategy standpoint, Landon did a great job. Coaching, great job. And I just think at the end, the better team won. And the sad thing is one team has to be missed out. And I think college football is kicking themselves because this is the perfect year. This would have been the perfect year for them to have a 12-team tournament instead of this 14 tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it makes for interesting talk. I mean, the Midnight Rider is the king of content. All right. And this is what this is, because now you have all these scenarios. Quick stats real quick. Michael Penix is 27 to 39, 319, one touchdown, one pick. And then we go on the other side, Bo Nix, 21 to 34, 239, three touchdowns and a pick. Yeah, it's a great game. Great. I mean, if I don't think I don't want to say that because some of the matchups are bad, but for the most part, you're getting the matchups you want. And when we go to the next game, it just kind of is what it is there. But I mean, great game, great for college football. It's just now you have this spider web of a mess, and we'll try to untangle it as we go along. Do you? I know you say about the third guy as far as the quarterbacks. Do you see one of them if they are that third guy? Because 1 and 2 is going to go top five, right? Probably top 5, top 6.
No,
1
yeah,
and 2.
they're so one's going 1, the other person's going 3rd or 4th.
Do you see a scenario?
Order.
Do you see a scenario where maybe that third guy that they kind of unsure about skips the combine?
He bet not. Like I think,
but you have the college tape, and you skipping the combine. We've seen teams willing to run that gamble on a guy that skips the combine just based on the college tape, and seeing that you can make certain throws and stuff. But we also know if you go in that combine and stink it up, you're losing spots.
Yes, but here it is. Let's talk about the guys. So you talk about your guy, Josh Allen throws himself into the top 10.
Absolutely.
Last year, Anthony Richardson, I said this on our show constantly. I kept telling everybody the second that Anthony Richardson throws is going to be the second he becomes the top 5 pick, because he's not going to do anything else. He can't do anything else to wow you. The second that brother throws, he moved himself up in the draft in the draft class, and I think Penix has an arm in that neighborhood. I think the person that's going to have the best tape is somebody I'm going to talk about later on in the show. So I'm going to keep dropping this tease. And then Bo Nix, I got to say, it ain't Auburn no more. So I got to question. The 2 questions I have for Penix and Bo Nix is it their offense or is it them? And that's the one thing I'm worried about with them.
Okay. Let's move on to the next game. The Iowa Hawkeyes put up that good old goose egg against the Michigan Wolverines, 26-0. It is what it is with this. I don't think anybody expected Iowa to keep up with Michigan at all. I think even if this team played to its full potential, they still would have lost 26-10. They just don't have the firepower against Michigan Midnight Rider. Real quick, McCarthy for Michigan, 22 of 31, 47. Nothing to even
he's gonna be a sneaky,
yeah. He'll for
sneaky guy though.
Say it again.
He's gonna be a sneaky guy.
Okay.
When we get in the draft cycle, he's gonna be a sneaky guy. I'll say it that way, and then I'll let you go on. I'm sorry.
No, you good. Hill for the Hawkeyes, 18 of 32, 120. The Hawkeyes just didn't have any type of offense. The Wolverines are what they are. What did you take from this game? And is Michigan ready to fight moving on? Are they legit material, or are they going to get smacked the next game?
I think so. I'm glad you asked this question, because next year the argument I've heard all season long is why is the Big Ten doing away with the divisions, and will it devalue the Michigan-Ohio State game? Yes, it's going to devalue the game, but the thing is, without the divisions, you actually get the 2 best teams in the Big Ten to actually play each other in the championship game. I'm tired of watching the sacrificial lamb. I'm tired of watching Northwestern. I'm watching Iowa. I'm watching Illinois, whoever it is on the other side of the conference, because somehow when this conference broke itself up into divisions, they put the 4 best teams in the conference on the same side in the same division, which
Yeah.
makes no sense. I don't know if that was the torch of Maryland and Rutgers or what, but it just stunk at the way this whole thing has been set up. And the fact that Michigan got to have a cakewalk walking into the finals is a little disappointing. And if they were, and this is part where I talk about last week when I was talking about how they place the teams in the rankings for the top 4 at the end. This is where it makes sense. This is where it happens because Michigan at 2 makes it impossible for you to jump over Michigan to take them out of the top 4.
I just think, I talked about a little bit before how, Michigan, Ohio State, black and blue. I just think they're setting up whoever they play, they're setting themselves up for a absolute drumming. It's just because I felt like Michigan should have been a 50 burger. This should have been one of them games where it's just ridiculous. But then you look at the stats and you look at the game, and it was like a high school team playing the Atlanta Falcons. It's just Iowa's not in the same league. But when Michigan gets on the next one, it's going to be. I just don't see a scenario where they're even in that game. And
that's it. And the sad part about it is, I think Iowa, as a team, all season has had some of the craziest unders all season long. Like all season long, there was a game, I forgot who they played, where the over-under was like 28.5. So you're telling me that 2 teams in college football can't score 28 points combined? You know how bad that is? But I will say one thing. If you need a tight end, whoever Iowa has a tight end,
yes,
draft them.
You go get them.
Immediately.
Yes. Go grab them.
Don't pass go. That and middle linebackers. Don't pass go on that.
All right, we're going to get into the real rough stuff now, because now these games here, especially last two, kind of changed, or the fourth one changed the landscape. So we're going to go over, and the Texas Longhorns take out Oklahoma State Cowboys 49-21. This win is important for Texas in so many ways. Midnight Rider, take it away.
So last year, my guy at Texas was Bijan Robinson.
Yes.
This year, my guy at Texas is Quinn Ewers. And my man Quinn came out and let the show begin. I think he had 350 yards in the first half yesterday. My man showed up. He's the person I keep talking about as a top 5 QB in this class. And it's only because Joe Klatt. Joe Klatt is a very underrated sports announcer in this college business. Joe Klatt broke down Quinn Ewers and the way he throws the football and the way he throws with anticipation. So I feel like, and this is why, even when we get in the draft process, I'm still going to have Quinn Ewers higher than Caleb and these other guys, because I think he throws with the big word, anticipation. So that's going to be the reason why I'm letting y'all know now. My list is going to be outlandish because I'm not going to have Caleb and Drake 1 and 2. I'm going to have Quinn Ewers above them because of what I see. But to the game itself, Texas just came out and kicked their ass.
Yeah.
They were the more talented team. I think it was 35-14 and a half. And then it was just like, after I saw the first half, I was like, well, how soon is Arch Manning getting the ball game? Because that's really what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
And then we figuring out, is he going to be, because if Quinn stays, which I hope he doesn't, but if Quinn stays, then Arch is going to transfer.
Makes sense.
Because there's no need for him spending 2 years behind a guy when he could go to Notre Dame. He can go.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be biased. Start at QB. You know what I'm saying? He can go anywhere in the country and start at QB for a team that doesn't have great quarterback play. And that's the thing about that program. But, yeah, OK State was just in the way of something that had to happen. Yeah. And, it was just inevitable. And that's what I thought it was.
Quinn Ewers 35 of 46, 452, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. For the Cowboys, you had Bowman 22 of 38, 250, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Like the Midnight Rider said, Texas was just too much. And they came out established them, dominated. They smelled that blood and they went and finished it off. And that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you want to see. So it makes a very interesting. Very interesting.
So, there's a kid at Texas. He's not going to be in the top 5 rounds of this draft. He might even get drafted. His name is Keelan Robinson. I think he transferred from Alabama to Texas. He's their 4th running back, but because of injury to Jonathan Brooks, he became their 3rd running back. I think he has 3 carries yesterday for 74 yards and
4 for 75, 2 touchdowns, 18.8 average.
He should get drafted. He should get drafted from his speed profile. I hope he runs a good 40 at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be somebody that late rounds, a team that needs a running back that can do a little bit of everything. He's one of those guys that because of injury and because of time, he just is not going to be on everybody's radar. And that's a guy I want to see on Sundays next year.
Well, I think as bad as the contracts are in the NFL for the running backs, I think kids coming out of college benefit because everybody always needs a running back. If you got the more running backs you got, the more guys you got back there that can give you a change of pace or just keep fresh legs back there. I think is everybody's at least trying to have 2 running backs.
You got to have 3, honestly.
Yeah, and have 3 that you could keep and they could come in fresh and a couple of them maybe do different things. But I mean, I think that's we've talked about the contracts in the past and how running backs have become disposable. But I think coming out of college as a running back, if you show some type of flash, you know what I'm saying, between the 3 spots, maybe a team is looking for plus practice squad, whatever. You should land somewhere if you've shown some flash. So, okay, then and we moving on to the big boy here. The Alabama Crimson Tide take out the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs 27-24. And here's where you're making the Kool-Aid and you pouring the sugar in there and that whole big ass lump come out. Bloop.
Right.
And you got to figure out how to fix this. You got to figure out are you going to just drink it like this? Are you going to break how Midnight Rider, how are they going to fix this?
Well, we'll get to that after the next game.
Okay.
But this game, it's funny because I was on the Clear Production side of the network last night doing All In Sports, and this game was finishing up. So I didn't get a chance to see it because it was on CBS, and for some reason Sling TV doesn't have CBS. And I didn't use our Stream East to watch the game.
Can I say something real quick about CBS? For some reason, and I don't know what the reason, this has nothing to do with sports. They would not show Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the app. They blanked it out. Look, let me tell you something. And I'm not going to take away from this game or the segment. I absolutely hate the Paramount app. Okay? With a passion. If I could somehow blow it up myself, I would. It's just like let me give you an example. You go watch whatever game is in your region. It looks like you're watching it on your grandmother's floor TV. That's how bad the quality is at times. Like I'm paying for an app and I can't get on my 65-inch TV. I can't get 1080p. I should be watching this in crisp, clear, like it looks like an 80s. Sometimes it looks like an 80s video game. That's my rant. Just why I just don't know why they decided not to show Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's a whole nother subject, but we love you, CBS.
Now, and this game right here was a situation where the guys that all year Alabama's been playing good football, but they've been, you know what? I'm gonna stick with your Rudolph thing. They've been somewhat the land of misfit toys. Milroe, we didn't know what Milroe was going to be. He actually came out and became the quarterback that Alabama needed. Their receivers aren't. This isn't Jerry Jeudy. Henry Ruggs and those guys. We don't have those guys walking through the door right now, but they do just enough. And Alabama's got enough guys, and they've got a kid. He's from Georgia. I think his name is Isaiah Bond, if it reminds me correctly. They are perfect. I can't. Your blur is messing that up.
No, I just wanted to show you how it looks when you're watching a game on CBS Paramount.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's how it look.
I walked into the bit, but all right, I got you. But yeah, this game, like I was getting updates as the game was going on from Hill, so it was always like a seesaw thing for me. But I think the quarterback for Georgia, I'm gonna say it now because I think Stetson, whenever he figures out his life, Stetson Bennett will be back in the league and be a backup quarterback for a good team. And I think this kid Carson Beck should go in like the 4th or 5th round, but it's got to be to a team with a good OC. And I think he'll have another 10-year to 15-year career because he does the things right. It's nothing special about his arm. He's just one of those guys. He's a guy. And this draft has always produced just a guy. And he's perfect for the NFL because the NFL likes having a backup that's just a guy.
When you say guy, you talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick guy or Ryan Tannehill?
I'm talking who's the he's a guy that can be like a Josh Dobbs where he has a 3 or 4 game window where he looks special. Okay. Not special, but he looks good. But then he comes back to reality and becomes like it's like he realizes he's Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
So Carson Beck will be good for you for 2 or 3 weeks, man. And then you realize he's Carson Beck. Or like a Taylor Heinicke. It's Heinicke, but like a couple of weeks, you're like, ooh, that guy might be special. And then he's like, nah.
He gave you that one game. Yeah, hold on. I got you. Let me show you.
Yeah, I'm Taylor Heinicke. I'm sorry. That's what these guys are. Because the NFL doesn't invest in their backup quarterbacks. But I think this season, I think teams have to start taking a stronger view of how they set up their backup quarterback situation.
Especially this season.
Because the dip is too precipitous.
Yeah.
I hope y'all caught that word precipitous because I love that was the word for the day. On my calendar, when I ripped it off, it said precipitous. So I had to use that today. But that drop, that's what it is, man. And I think that's what we're getting right now. So I think some of the programs have to figure out who you keeping as your backup quarterback because he's going to be important at some point in the season.
Let me
say this game. I think Nick Saban said it best. I mean, there's no SEC team that's been the SEC champ that's never made the college playoff.
I mean, he says that, but they got a blemish on their record, Midnight Rider.
From who?
From the Texas Longhorns. And
that's right.
And that's what that Texas win looks so much better. It looks so sweet now. It's the honey buns coming out the oven. You see him, mom put them on the stove, but when you come back, she iced them.
Oh, and yes, sir.
And that's the Texas win now. It looks so much better. And now they had got drugged by Georgia. Of course that would, but now that they beat Georgia, you're looking at Texas like, okay. So
and you can't segue any better. So let's get to the next game.
Let's go to the next game. If I can get over there. The Florida State Seminoles 16, Louisville. I know that's not the right score. I must have mistyped. It's 6. Louisville 6. So I shorted them a point, but Midnight Rider, take it away.
You got a Florida State team on their backup quarterback, on their third quarterback. Yes, their defense is special, but I don't think that Florida State is the 4th best team in the country. Mm-hmm. And BJ, if you can hit the picture.
Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on.
If Florida State had any class and realized that's right. If Florida State had any class, they would do this. They would volunteer and just go ahead and take themselves out of the running. They should just be happy that in 1993, they stole a championship and they should volunteer in this situation and take themselves out of the mix and allow Texas into the college playoff. That's the only way I see it going. Because if this is really about the best 4 teams, then Florida State doesn't belong. They should just go ahead and understand their path in this journey. They should just be okay with a 12-0 season. Pat Mike Norvell on the back, Barry Horowitz style, and say thank you for your participation in the season. But go enjoy the Duke's Miracle Bowl or Miracle Whip Bowl or whatever it is, and let's get the best 4 teams in this scenario, because that's what we need to do. And the best 4 teams in college football right now is number 1 is Michigan. Who's the 1 seed? Give me the 1 team. I just drew a blank.
Georgia.
Huh?
Georgia?
No, so all right, let's get Georgia out of the mix. So it should be Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. Those are the 4 teams at the end.
That's a hard.
And if we don't do Alabama, maybe I'm sorry. I didn't say Washington in that mix.
No.
So it's Michigan, Washington, and then Alabama. I'm messing this all up now.
So Georgia is just going to drop out of that top 4 with that loss.
I think Georgia got to be number 5.
Oh my goodness!
I think Georgia has to be 5. I think 1 and 2 now has to be Michigan and Washington, and then we figure out 3 and 4. And the good thing about us doing our show now is if we go into the 12 o'clock hour, we should have the resolution that the powers that be come up with. Yeah, because it's that simple.
It's going to be a doozy.
It's going to be but you know what? I got to give college football. I'm giving college football credit. I can't give the NCAA credit. This is what they asked for. Now we got to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost basketball tournament-esque in this regard, because we're not going to talk tomorrow about the teams that made it. You know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
The teams that should have made it.
Yeah.
And this is how like wrestling gets over with the world, is because they always have the heel or that person that you don't like, and you gotta understand. You don't want to know why they get over, and you got to root against them. Well, Alabama is your Ric Flair. Alabama is your Miz. Alabama is your Dom from the Judgment Day. Dom Mysterio. These are the guys that you love to hate. You're putting them all in one little thing. You got Ohio State, you got Florida State, you got Washington, you got all these teams in that little mix, and you can pick out who you want. I think it should be all the 12-0 teams and then everybody else. But because Florida State doesn't have their quarterback, I think Texas should get in the mix.
It's gonna be a log jam.
And it's beautiful. This is why I think. So this like leads to why I think the 12-team tournament would have been perfect this year, because you would have had you'd have had Alabama in, you'd have had Texas, you'd have Ohio State, and then you'd have gotten some of these matchups where you get maybe like an Ohio State versus Texas or Ohio State versus Alabama.
I just feel like you let 12 teams in, 7 of them are just being set up for slaughter. 7 of them are getting the ear tag and they're getting pushed into the line, and they're getting the quick throat slash hung upside down, and they're going to the slaughterhouse. 6 or 7 of those teams.
In normal years, yes. But I think this year, with the QB play and the talent on offense, this would have been like the ideal season to have a 12-team experiment, because you get that March Madness rush in the first round of all right, who's playing who, like upsets and all that, and then you get them advancing, and then say you give the top 4 teams that would normally been in the playoffs, you give them the bye. Now they're playing their second round opponents. It's it plays out so beautifully that you could even like the NCAA will make money off of this because now guess what we're doing as a collective? We're doing brackets. We're doing college football brackets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now with 12 teams, I'm like, all right, I got these 4 advancing. So this is how the next round shows, and then I'm playing it out. And I got you, KG, the Nubian Sumo, Don, maybe Lady C, and we got a bracket going. We got a bracket challenge. This is where I see this. This is where this goes now. This is what it becomes. It's like the greatness of Rome. We're sitting at the precipice of the greatness of Rome, and we just got there a year too late to experience this whole thing.
Real quick, strength of schedule. Texas was number 1. Alabama falls in at 5, and then the Huskies are at 9. Those are the only teams that we're talking about right now that are in the top 10 as far as strength of schedule. Man, I'm scrolling down. I'm looking for another name. And back to you, Bob. Nah, I don't see.
All right, so here's the AP. So AP top 25 has Michigan at 1, Washington 2, Texas 3, Florida State 4, Alabama 5, Georgia 6, Ohio State 7. Texas has to be in the top 4 because Texas just on the Big 12 schedule alone has to be in there.
And the Alabama win. It's no way that they're in.
Alabama beating the number 1 team that's on a 27-game winning streak. Plus, they play in the SEC where 5 teams were in the top 15. They beat Ole Miss. They beat Missouri. Like, all those wins matter. And this is why when I told you, if you remember my conversation last week, I told you Florida State is 4 because they're the easiest team to drop out of the top 5 to make it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you did say that.
They got to go back and volunteer. I think her name was Kristen Hittness or Hadness. They got to volunteer for tribute. Only on the sideline junkies can you get Hunger Game references.
Hey man, look, we do our best. We're gonna give you everything you want. Staying with football, we had to touch that college football. It was a mouthful and it's a lot. And like Midnight Rider said, at noon we should know some more business. We're gonna transition right into the big boys in the NFL, and we are going to first game, Houston, Texas, and we have the Denver Broncos visiting the Houston Texans. And our lines are always brought to you by FanDuel. We use FanDuel for our lines, so you should too. They have Houston a 3-point favorite with the over-under being 47.5. We'll get to it later, but this game is going to be one of my bold predictions and safe bets. I'm gonna ride my wave. So I've been close the last couple of weeks, but Midnight Rider, you want to take it away first?
So let's talk about, before I talk about the game, let's talk about the subculture in this ball game. The Houston Texans is the home for old Denver Bronco assistant coaches or people from the old Broncos. And when I say old Broncos, I'm talking about Mike Shanahan, the coaching tree. So DeMeco Ryans comes off of Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree. The offensive coordinator is Bobby Slowick, whose dad was a defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. So right now, we just weaving in some storylines. If you're not paying attention, you're not catching what I'm throwing down. The other successful coach for the Houston Texans, one of their most successful coaches, was Gary Kubiak, who's a Mike Shanahan descendant. But this ball game on the other side, where we get to now what's going on today, is we got Denver and Houston. If you guys have watched us and paid attention to us, you know I'm a big Houston mark. And I'm going to stay a big Houston mark today. I like what Russ and them are doing because they decided not to let Russ cook. They let Russ microwave the offense, or he slow cooks the offense. You know what I'm saying? That's the good part about it, because instead of trying to make Russ throw for 300, they just say, hey, Russ, give us 200 and no interceptions, no turnovers. You know what I'm saying? So Russ is out here slow cooking the offense.
And that's okay. That's okay. That
Exactly.
it doesn't have he don't, and then he still gives you, just like the Buffalo game, he gives you that miracle throw off of 1 foot and keeps you in games and make these really good throws. But you know, I mean, Russ ain't no spring chicken no more. But I think people, they see that quarterback position. You got to throw for 350, 400. You got to do what Pat Mahomes do. You got to do what Jalen Hurts do. You got to do what Burrow does and Allen does. And it's those guys, are far and few between. But I like what Russ is doing, man.
And that's why we always talk about there's 7 guys that are the franchise guys. And then there's the next part that are guys that can win you ball games. They can lose you ball games, but they are quality starters.
Yes.
And then you have, after that top 15 or 14, however, depending on your math, then you have the other guys. And that's exactly how this plays out in this world. In this ball game, I think I know where you're going for your safe bet. But I think CJ Stroud is going to have a big day today.
Okay.
And I don't know the health. I got to check the health of Tank Dell. But I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell will have big days. Whoever Patrick Surtain Jr. is not guarding is going to get, that guy's going to get all the love. Because I don't see no reason to go ahead and poke that bear. I think this game is going to hit the over because Houston does play good defense and Denver plays good defense, but I think the quarterbacks on both sides will do enough. And then I say let's get ready for the Javonte Williams. It's not the resurrection, but let's just say him arriving. Let's use a KG term. I think today he's going to arrive in this ball game because we're far enough from his injury where I think he's going to be back to who he used to be, and he's going to have an impact. But unfortunately, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans go too much. And so I got Houston covering, and I take the over, and I got Houston winning the ball game.
10-4, and I'm right. I'm walking right behind you through the door. I was gonna say something else, but that would have been a pause moment, and I'm not even gonna set myself up for it. Okay, but I'm going right with you, and I'm gonna save my bold predictions for last. I think this is gonna be a big game for both QBs. I'm taking a 47.5. I'm taking the over on that, and I'm leaning to Houston to win. I thought Houston would take out Jacksonville last week. They were field goal short. And I think they're playing very well. And games like that only help you learn how to win. When your team is coming up, Detroit had to go through it with Campbell, learning how to win, learning how to get out of those close games, learning how to make plays when somebody needs to come up with a big play. And Houston's still learning, and I think that's why they're so scary. But I do like the way Denver's coming together. The Denver's coming together. They could have easily mailed the season in after that 70-point beat down they took from Miami. They could have easily gave up, and they haven't. I think that's a testament to Sean Payton. I really think he lost that locker room for a second and had to figure out how to get it back. And your good and great coaches can do that. So give me Houston. I'm taking Midnight Rider, Houston, the points, and I'm taking the over. I think this is going to be a really good game. So this is one of the ones you can sit down and watch with whatever you're eating today and enjoy this game.
And that's also a tease to something coming up later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On to Tennessee. We got the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Tennessee Titans. The Indianapolis Colts is favored by 1.5, and the over-under here is 42.5. Midnight Rider, take it away.
Zach Moss. This is going to be an interesting game to see what Zach Moss do. And if we need a precursor for where I'm going in bold predictions, let's just say Zach Moss. And I like the way that Gardner Minshew runs this team. I actually had to pick him up because I was in quarterback hell during a bye week and after some injuries. But this team finds a way to win. And I think we said this Tuesday, I said this team is in a position And when I say this team, I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts, where their schedule is weak enough down the stretch where they can sneak their way into the playoffs, and maybe kick out somebody that's a better ball team. But because of the schedule, Indianapolis just ends up with the better record instead of being the better team. So with all that said, I'm taking Indy with the 1.5, but I think this game goes to the under. So Indy wins outright. Indy covers the 1.5 because I think they win by a field goal. But we're going to be just under the 42.5.
And hey, look, we got the same picks today. Because I agree with you. I don't think this produces over that 42.5. I don't think it's nowhere near that, actually. I think you're going to see, the ground game on both teams and some defense. Mm-hmm. I think Indy does enough to get out of here with the win. So I'll take Indy with the points, and I'm taking the under also. Let me write that down so I remember. And
that's what I gotta get. I gotta get me another notepad.
And I took them. All right, and then we're gonna move right along to the hometown team, if I can get over there. The Miami Dolphins come into town, and they are taking on the Washington Commanders. And Miami's favored by 9.5, and the over-under for this is 49.5. And I just realized I forgot to load the stats for the league rankings for the team. So I'll read them off to you for this game. And that is my apologies. That's
But I think, B, that might be something that might be getting us in trouble. So let's just stay with this. You know
okay.
What I'm saying? You can read them, but let's not post them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, cool. Miami is second in points at 30 a game. Points allowed 22nd, and they allow 22 a game. Their first in total yards is 430. First in passing yards, 285. Second in rushing, 145. Seventh in yards allowed, 305. And turnover differential, they're -5, good for 23rd. The Commanders are doing 20.5 points a game, good for 20th. They're allowing 29 points a game, last in the league. Total yards, 343, good for 14th. Passing yards, 246, good for 9th. On the ground, they are averaging 96 a game, good for 25th. Yards allowed per game, 377, good for 29th. And turnover differential, -9, last in the league. Midnight Rider is setting up for it looks like it. Man. It looks on paper. But talk to me though.
Go ahead. Say it.
On paper, this looks like this could possibly be a stat game for Miami. That's what it's looking like. It's looking like. I mean, the only thing that might slow Miami up is the weather in this area.
There it is. We're on the same page. Because I think the saying is, if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. God dang it, it's a duck.
Wow.
Yeah. Or Aflac. And this, I gotta go Miami, the 9.5. And I think they will hit the over 49.5. But the sad thing about it, I think Miami's gonna have 30 of that 49.5 for us to hit the over. The only thing that can save this team, when I say this team, I say the Commanders, is if they actually hit when they switch this defense over and they allow these guys to play faster, that these guys actually respond to playing faster. So maybe we get a Jamin Davis situation where he has a sack or two today because he's put in position to be more successful than he was in the Jack Del Rio defense. And I've always had a problem that the Jack Del Rio defense had to wait 5 to 6 weeks before it clicked in. And that's a problem for me because that means that either you're doing something too difficult or your defense isn't explainable for these guys to play fast right away. And that's where the struggle comes in. And so maybe they get a boost from that, but I don't see it. And they got to show me. So if I'm wrong in this game because the Commanders come out, play their best defense of the season, I'll take that. And if the offense comes out and produces, I'll take that. And if they win this ball game, then hopefully the guy that put the money on the Washington Commanders money line I hope you take your girlfriend or your wife somewhere nice because, yeah, you earned that because you were bold enough to take this. But yeah, I don't see any way analytically that Miami doesn't blow this ball game out unless we get like a torrential downpour mid-game, kind of like San Francisco 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When San Francisco was sliding across the field, doing yeah, that's the only way this ball game doesn't hit the over-under, in my opinion.
Yeah, I look, we on the same page today, and
okay,
you know, I feel like it's going to hit the over just on Miami alone. I think this is another one of those games where, you know, Sam is probably going to have 300 yards, but it's going to turn to him throwing 50 and 55 times. I just don't see it from this defense, and I know they this is one of those teams where they play big against the better teams. They get up for the better teams and they make it a ball game. But that guy on the other side, Tyreek Hill, I just don't see how this defense and the lack of discipline they showed all season, even that, like, stop what's going to happen to them today. And you know, it is what it is. They're just not, you know, you run across, and then Miami has done what they're supposed to do and beat the bad teams up this year. That's one of their things this year. They're beating the bad teams up, and then the teams that are the upper echelon they're struggling against. But I expect them to come in here today. I expect to see FedEx Field probably 60%. What are they colors? Teal and something? Who cares? Aqua.
Teal and white.
Teal and white, aqua and white. Who cares?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now. That's the one. I had a Miami white jersey with the green teal numbers. Was in my collection, but I think it was in something. And like my basement flooded, and I think that jersey got ruined.
Okay,
that's the one jersey I miss having, like that Miami teal, and of course I put number 10 on it for me and my name on the back. But oh man, that joint was tough.
Man, I'm trying. I know I'm a little sick, but I'm trying not to throw up with you talking about these Miami colors.
Oh no, because Buffalo got a. Well, no. Buffalo doesn't have one I like. Buffalo has the helmet I like. The only other team in your division I like is that New England Patriot red joint.
Oh
my favorite. I call them the Mosi Tutupos. The Mosi Tutupos. Those are my jerseys right there. Sorry.
I'm trying to hold my breakfast down. I really am trying. I'm trying to hold my breakfast down, but it's I'm telling you. I'm taking the over, and I'm taking Miami in 9.5. I think this is going to be a high 40s Miami and Washington 20. And it's just going to be a garbage game for Washington. So it is what it is. And we both took that. I'm not even going to write that down because I'm going to look at that and know that both of us took the over because of Miami and the 9.5 because of Miami.
And this is the for me personally, I think this starts the journey for Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy to prove that they should be the people we place our trust and our hope into for 2024. So if Howell and EB can come out of this journey looking good, then I think they cement themselves where EB could possibly be the future head coach of this team and Sam Howell could be QB1. I don't think that's going to happen, but this is where they get to prove themselves.
You think they're going to be looking for another QB? We know that they're going to be looking for a coach. You think they?
I think they have to, if they are in the top 5. And but hear me out, BJ. Hear me out. This is why, because you got to think about how isn't whoever they bring in as the GM. That's not his guy first and foremost. All right. So this draft has two variants going. Variant one is the guy that comes in doesn't believe in Howell, so he has to get his own guy. So he drafts himself Drake May or Michael Penix because you're 3 or 4, you're 4 or 5, and you're avoiding the situation where you're kicking yourself because you were in the situation back in 2020 when this fan base would have probably had a revolt if they had drafted Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa over Chase Young. You're in the same position, same predicament. And it comes down to your GM picking which way you want to go on this road. I personally would love to have the kid from Penn State, the left tackle, Olu Nana Wanase Fasalola, Amasea Masai Makusap, whatever, however his whole name goes. That's the kid I think should be our pick. Whether we're picking 4, whether we're picking 5. And if we're picking 4 and the team wants to come up to get a quarterback, I'll take that ransom. I'll drop to 8. I'll drop to 7. Give me your 2025 first. Give me all that. You know what I'm saying? But I think they got to be in a position where they're open to all those options.
Yeah. So, and that'll be, trust me, we'll be talking about that the rest of the season. So
exactly, that's gonna be content on top of content on top of content.
Absolutely. So we move to our fourth and final game, the NFC Championship rematch. These teams have been talking a lot of smack, and San Francisco is going into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. They're favored by 3 points, and the over-under is 46.5. This is one of them other ones where this is going to be shaping out to be a slobber knocker. Let me look. I'm about to say I can see.
So hold up, B. Before you look up what you're going to look up, who does this ball game mean more to? Does it mean more to San Francisco, or does it mean more to the Eagles?
Do you want me to speak as a Bills fan?
I want you to speak as however you want to answer that.
I think Philly got exposed last week.
Okay.
By Buffalo, because Buffalo, if you're to the naked football fan, you just see a struggling Buffalo team. To people that know football, they know that something's wrong with that team, and they have what it takes, and they should be where they are not. Right? If that makes sense to everybody. So you come in and you prove that, yeah, we're still here. And I think you exposed some things on Philly, and Buffalo made a couple of mistakes. That should have been a loss for Philadelphia last week. And, I didn't see Eagles fans beat their chest as hard last week, but this is one of them, this is San Francisco has been waiting for this. They've been waiting for this, and they're coming for blood for the Eagles. And look, we've seen it as far as like teams just riding that high wave, right? And then that end of the season, they get that bubble crushing. I really think that's what Philly's coming to. They're playing some hell of a football for what they do. 10-1, number 1 in NFC. But I just think that either Dallas or San Francisco is going to clip them. So and y'all know I'm a Kyle Shanahan fanboy. So yeah.
So I think this game honestly means more to the Eagles than it does to the 49ers. And again, we're going to get into the conversation of what's left on their schedule, because the Eagles have the 49ers this week and the Cowboys next week, I think. And if that's the case, then they got to either split this. They may go 2-0, but they got to split this somehow, some way. And that's why I say I think it's more important to Philly than San Francisco, because San Francisco doesn't have to worry about, because they're in the division with the Rams, Seattle, and I think Seattle got exposed a little bit because Seattle isn't that good of a team, but I think they can do just enough. And then anybody else that's in the division is an afterthought.
Absolutely.
So we get, it's Arizona, and Arizona's fighting for the number 1 pick. So we're at a point where I think the Eagles need this more. So I'm gonna take the act of desperation and take the Eagles to win, which means I'm going with the +3, and I know this is going to hit the 46.5 over.
All right, I'm writing this down.
Because I think Jalen Hurts has something to prove tonight, and I think we start getting some clarity. I'm not gonna say clarity, because I think because the MVP race has become quarterback centric, I think the quarterbacks are starting to put themselves in position to figure out this whole thing.
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go I'm trying to see what the injury report is for these guys. No, it looks like everybody's pretty much a go. Some questionable people, but nobody. Fletcher Cox is questionable for the Eagles. Now I'm gonna lean on the 49ers. I'm leaning on the 49ers to come in here. I think they're finally everybody's kind of healthy. And I'm gonna take them to, and now you have a new dynamic. You got Chase Young on the other side, a motivated Chase Young, a Chase Young that has a standard, somebody lit a fire under him, basically holding his hand to help, make him play up to his standard. And that's, like it's nothing. Some guys need that. Some guys need to be on a team where they have structure and standards, and they're not allowed to just lollygag and take plays off.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
So that you have a different. This isn't the same San Francisco team. They have a little bit more on defense, and I think they edge out Philadelphia today. And I understand what you're saying, and I kind of said the same thing with Philadelphia in the Buffalo game last week. But I think even if Philly loses this week and next week, they got Seattle, the Giants, Arizona, and the Giants again to finish it out. They're still going to finish number one. It's going to hurt that look going in because people are going to know they're vulnerable, and especially the Cowboys. I think next week the Cowboys need that game more than Philly. Absolutely 100%.
Exactly.
So, but Philadelphia can still lose these two games and still set themselves up to have a bye in the playoffs. I just think that these two games are going to show you. I think they're going to expand on what Buffalo did last week. The next two games, I really do. I think they're going to be fighting for their life.
So I think the way the Commanders have played Philly this year, maybe it's a product of Bieniemy knowing them, but I think like I had this a long time ago. I think it was 2015. I had like this revelation watching when you watch the game tapes back, you watch the all 22. I had a revelation with like Philly, especially when what's the defensive coordinator that's in Jim Schwartz. So when Schwartz was in Philly, like when they got into the plus 20 or the goal line situations, he ran a certain coverage every time. And I think this Philly team, when they get in certain situations, you kind of know what they're going to do. So it's easy to read. And I think that's what made it easy for the Commanders to make them competitive, even though they didn't win these ball games, but they were competitive because they kind of knew what was coming at them. And that scares me down the road. So that's why I worry about this Philly team in that regard. So I can't wait to see what Kyle has dialed up, but I still think Philly wins this just because of the desperation.
Gotcha. I got you. Coming into the end of the show, let's go to our next segment. Bold predictions and safe bet. My bold prediction for this week. 375-3. CJ Stroud.
I was about to say, I'll tell you the quarterback. I know where you're going.
Give me 375 today and 3 touchdowns for CJ Stroud. My safe bet, Buffalo Bills don't lose today. That's my safe bet. That's my safe bet. Buffalo does not lose today. They come away clean jerseys and everything. And that's where I'm going. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right. So I guess my bold prediction. Zach Moss, 175 yards rushing.
Ooh.
Career day for Zach Moss.
Ooh.
Now I gotta go safe bet, huh? Safe bet, easy. Tua Tagovailoa, 315 and 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
And I'll give you my wild card. If A-Chain plays, I think A-Chain goes for 80 plus yards and a touchdown.
I throw you a wild card. Chase Young, 2 sacks.
I think that happens today.
2 sacks for Chase Young today.
Just because when I see him in a 3-point stance, he plays a whole lot different than he played here. Like when he was here, I think he was playing as if he's a guy waiting to get that next contract. So he's playing safe. Like he was trying to put out treaties with teams like, hey, if you only go so hard, I'm only go so fast as well. And like he had peace agreements. And now that he's in San Francisco, I think he's been playing more balls to the wall, back to his normal self.
He don't have a choice.
Right, exactly.
That type of play isn't allowed in San Francisco. So this is what I always say all the time. Those little nagging injuries here, you be out for 2 weeks. In San Francisco, you taping it up and playing. It's a different ball game. But when you're drafted into mediocrity, that's what you get used to. And you get a swift kick in the butt. Trent Williams got it. When he went to San, like, hey, it's time to win now. We don't want to hear about anything else. Like, get your ass out there and.
Well, you gotta give Trent some credit. When Trent was here,
there
were some seasons that when Trent could barely walk. Like if it was Tuesday and Thursday and Friday, Trent could barely walk, and he was playing ball games. So we got to get that man his flowers.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, every now and then, because he got high and he was living with was it Cypress Hill? He got in some trouble because he was living that lifestyle. But when it wasn't on that weed program, he was a man of the hour, man. And that's what bothers me, because when they draft, and I'm on a tangent, but when they draft Jamin Davis, and then I see the kid from Virginia Tech, the tackle Christian Dillashaw, and the fact that he plays for the Vikings and he wears the number 71, and when I watch him athletically move around the line, he gives me Trent Williams vibes, and I feel like Ron Rivera and them left that left tackle kid, that kid that was going to be special, on the table just to take an ordinary linebacker.
We got to finish it out and get out of here.
I'm sorry.
Nah, we good. On to what you eating. Let me show you what I'm eating the rest of the day. I'm going to show you.
Oh, boy, I was nervous. Woo! Woo! I was a little nervous. I didn't know what's coming up on the screen.
That is my diet for the rest of the day. Probably some hot tea. Try to get this cold up out of me. I'm all congested and cloudy and not a good look right now. But that's what I'm eating for the day. Maybe I sneak some chicken wings or something in there. I ain't sure. But what about you, Midnight Rider?
So I got a combination. So yesterday was like a crazy day because I had a long week at work. I had to get up and get the kid. We did our podcast, the Dad and Son podcast, that I just posted on Facebook.
Okay.
It covers the show Invincibles. So we're on season 2, episode 3.
Okay.
We thought we did episode 4 last night as well, but when I came back to check it out, it didn't record on StreamYard. So you already know that struggle. You get 20 minutes of content and it's nowhere to be found. But in the midst of all of that running around and everything, and I don't even know if I'm going to see the Commanders game today because I was up at 6 this morning. I need to go to sleep. I need rest, but I got chicken, rice. I got chicken with peppers sitting in its own little container that I'm going to throw over some rice, some jasmine rice. Or I'm doing spaghetti, and actually I gotta go upstairs and cook because I gotta do the noodles for the spaghetti so we can have some that to eat as well. So that's what I got today. I don't know which one I'm going, but yeah.
Hey, sounds like a plan, man. And like I always say, we gotta get out of here. I always say, if you got set your fantasy lineups, if you got to pick them, set your pick them. I done creeped up to 4th. I'm trying to make my way up in our pick 'em league. So.
Also, before we go, if you haven't been paying attention to the bottom of the screen, we got the Fort Mose. How we pronounce it, Fort Mose. That's our whiskey that we're brand ambassadors for. If you put our code Maniacs in, you get a discount. And we just hope you enjoy some good whiskey. I know Eric Wheeler got his bottle like Wednesday last week, so they will get it to you, but please take the time, support us, help us out. Also, Clear Productions. Next week, you're gonna have your boy, the Midnight Rider, on the All In Sports Show on Tuesday. I think that films or airs on at like 7. And then also you get us with the Tuesday night flight at 7:30. So you can get you all of your boys, the Sideline Junkies, on Tuesday. You just gotta just hit click, like, subscribe, baby. Click, like, subscribe. That's all.
That's it. That's all. You know. Shout out to everybody watching. Appreciate it. Like always, thank you for joining us. And NFL was at week 14 now, ain't it?
Yeah.
And we should be getting some college football information. And and NFL week 14. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe out there on this this misty, rainy day. And we will see y'all on Tuesday. Peace.
Peace.